Hey everyone, this is Steve Kick, mortgage loan officer and your host of the MMLA Connect Podcast. Today I have a very special opportunity. I'm excited about it. We have the CEO of the MMLA, Joanne Misuraca. Joanne, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for asking me, Steve. You've been doing a lot for MMLA, so I owe you one. So here we go.
Well, I can say the same thing for you. I wouldn't be doing this without, your vote of confidence. So I appreciate that. And that's one of the great things about this organization is we're always looking to help each other. Right. So
That's right.
definitely looking forward to more of that. But I think we're going to switch things up a little bit, a little different style than we've done before, kind of the same, cadence. Today, I want to go. You've been running this organization for how long? I mean, a part of it for how long? And let's get a little bit of that.
Yeah, a little bit more than 27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
So, obviously you've been doing a good job and we want you to keep coming back around. So that's pretty special. But I think what can be really important for our listeners, Joanne, is an opportunity to get to know who you are, and that starts with your upbringing. So we'd love to hear more about, where you started and how you got there. So, let's go as deep as you're willing to go. And we'd love to hear more about your story.
No, I'm just a family Italian girl here. I love doing.
You're the maestro.
Doing things with my family. Some people call me the mom of the MMLA. I've been around so long. I nag people like a mom would, or stuff like that. But
no, you never nag people.
I grew up in the east side of Detroit and, Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods area. Went to Catholic school for 12 years. Went to college, but stayed home as a good Italian girl would do when I went to college. I had a couple different jobs. Lived 1 year actually with my brother and his family in Boca Raton, Florida. That was an experience. But you know what? As beautiful as Boca is, that wasn't reality. It was like a fast, high living, expensive lifestyle. And I was more attuned to my Michigan family. So I came back after a year. So that was an experience. But, I had my brother, two older sisters, and myself. So it was four kids. My sister has 4 kids of her own. They live close by. And a lot of people hear me talking about my nieces and nephews and how they are like my children, and they really are. A lot of people don't know this story, and it's tragic, and it sounds crazy. So I don't know who knows this or not. But my sister, people know my sister passed away, and I raised her kids. Well, the circumstances were kind of unbelievable, where her husband was diagnosed as bipolar disorder, and came in one night. It's a long story. I won't get into the whole story. But I was talking to her on the phone because she was afraid in her own home. And he came back while I was on the phone with her and killed her. And she died that night. And that's when I became a mom to her kids. And they were between the ages of 11 and 16 at the time. This is 1992. I wasn't even 30 at the time. But now they're all healthy, great adults. And I get to enjoy their families. So, you hear me talk about go to Colorado a lot. My niece lives in Colorado with her 2 kids, and I have 7 grandnieces and 1 grandnephew, and they're wonderful. So that's my story of my life. I was working at Dyke & Gossett law firm at the time, and it's funny.
Hold on, Joanne. Before we get into that, wow. What a story, I mean, that's a lot,
It was. In looking back now, I think everything happens for a reason, and God doesn't give you, this is my own belief. I'm raised Catholic. I don't go to church every week. I'm not, the perfect holy roller, but I don't believe that God can give you more than you can handle. And you don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong. And you always have the strength that you need to get through any situation. So that's kind of what brought us through that whole, turbulent time in 1992. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
wasn't easy,
even to
but
be a part of it as close as you were,
yeah,
Joanne, I mean, that,
yeah.
my heart goes out to you. I
Thank
can't
you.
imagine something like that. And then also having, stepping in and being a mom,
Yeah,
when you, I'm
yeah.
sure weren't ready to step in
No,
and be a mom, but
no.
that's amazing.
I
And
was,
it,
I was single. I lived with my mother at the time, so it was just natural for them to come and live with us. And it was, I wouldn't say a smooth transition, but as smooth as it could be. There's a lot of different events involved and loss,
yeah,
attorneys and court cases and
yeah.
all kinds of
I,
stuff. But we got through it. And like I said, now looking back, these kids are as healthy as any I know, as mentally, physically. They're strong in their beliefs, and we are just one big happy family still. Yeah,
I never knew that story. And I'd never heard that before, Joanne. So, I have there's a whole nother facet to you that I never even knew about. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably didn't know that story. And thank you for
yeah,
sharing that,
yeah. A
because
lot of people knew about her death, and why do you raise your sister's kids? But they didn't know that I was on the phone with her at when the tragedy happened. So that's kind of a thing that it's kind of shocking, and I'm not really sure how I present it and how it's going to be received, because I do it with a smile on my face, because what else am I going to do? you know so
yeah,
that's
I mean,
yeah,
but honestly, Joanne, thank you for sharing that, and
yeah,
and hopefully it brings you some peace now that you've gotten it out there, and you
yeah,
don't really have to hide it, right? Not that you were
right,
hiding it, but
yeah,
it was probably somewhat of a mystery in people's minds, and getting just getting it out there. Hopefully, that helps you, and maybe
right.
there's someone out there that's dealing with a tragedy right now,
Hmm.
and this story can touch them, and they know that you can get through it and you can survive it one day at a time.
Definitely, definitely. I like I said, I was working at Dykema Gossett, which was at the time the largest law firm in the state of Michigan, one of the largest in the countries, and they were very helpful, and they gave me a lot of support where I needed it to get through that as well. But 5 years later, they gave us. This is how I came to come to MMLA. That way, like Steve, you don't even remember this, but like we didn't even have computers on our desks. So they gave everybody a computer on their
Yeah.
desk, and we had to go to a training class to learn how to use a mouse. And they said, just practice with your mouse, go on different websites and just look around. Well, I went on a job search website and I found an ad for this job, and went for on an interview with, if anybody remembers, David Bird from Hartwell Mortgage. Lisa Harris was with Comerica Bank, and David Trott from Trott and Trott were the three people that were officers at the time at MMLA. And they interviewed me at the DAC. I remember that ultimately hired me. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to leave Dykema was because there was no opportunities for advancement. Once you were there and you were a manager, you were a lifer, and there really wasn't much opportunity to, unless one of those lifers quit. So MMLA offered a lot of new options for me. I accepted the job. First full-time employee of the MMLA. Met with David Bird for like 2 hours, and that was my training to get into this position. They had a part-time bookkeeper who just kind of handed me a book of past stuff, and I had to figure all the rest of it out for myself. So going down, and less than a month later, I think, Dykema calls me. There's an opening for a manager job, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I get myself into here? No one knows what's going on. I got to build this thing myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go
Yeah.
back to the security of Dykema. So I accepted. They offered more than what I was making at MMLA, and I accepted their position and wanted to resign from my newly formed job at MMLA. And David Trott and Lisa Harris is like, don't let her go. We can't let her go. Give her more money. See what she wants to do to stay. And so he thinks that
Negotiating from the bat, huh?
I
Like
know.
you've taught us well.
he's told this story a few times, David, because he's pretty proud that he got me to stay, and thinks that, and Lisa Harris as well thinks that I was like one of the best hires they ever made, and I agree. I'm so happy that I did stay. I got to make this job what
Me
it
too.
is. I kind of like formed the whole admin stuff because there really wasn't any. So it's almost like creating a new company from the ground up. And of course, with all the volunteers that we have to support everything that I do, eventually we hired a second person. We've had a couple along the way, but Trinity's been a long-standing member of our staff here for a long time. And the two of us,
Thanks, Trinity. We love you.
we do. And the two of us, we managed to get through everything just with the support of all of our volunteers. So that's how I ended up here and doing what I'm doing now. So, like I said, my job's evolved over the years, but basically, I oversee pretty much all aspects of the MMLA administratively, help out with the committees, and do all the membership and the office stuff as well as the events.
It's
So
pretty amazing that it's just you two.
yeah, we
Kudos
do
to you
that. Yeah, there's a
for
lot.
keeping it together.
We did something like 28 events last year. Some of them
Wow.
small, some of them big, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of steps with every event. 1,100 so
Oh yeah.
members, corporate partners.
I
Yeah,
I'm only involved in helping on a few events a year, right? And I know
yeah,
how much work that is and how how much you have to start ahead of time planning things and getting balls rolling early,
yeah.
earlier the better, right? I think we
Right.
always learn that. We're like, if we would have done that a little bit earlier and,
Yeah,
so it's really amazing that, with all the chapters and everything we have going on that you and Trinity are still super involved and you make it to a lot of the events too. And that's
yeah,
what's cool because
yeah. We try to.
everyone kind of lives in different pockets or whatever. So
Right. Yeah, we don't want to. We want. Well, our motto is making connections. Right. It's MMLA. We want to connect people, and so I don't just want to be an email. Oh, because I get that a lot. Like, oh, you're the one we get the emails from whenever people meet me for the first time. But yeah, I am the face behind all those emails, and it's
yeah,
good to get out and like talk to people and meet them face to face. So that's why Trinity and I try and get to as many events as we can.
everyone's excited to see you and they're welcoming. And I think that, we can continue to do that with new members too. We're ready for people to come in here. We're welcome. We want them to come to the MMLA. We need to get not necessarily young blood, but fresh blood coming, right?
Right. Well,
We want to see new people.
I go to events that the NBA National throws, and so I get to see some of our own members. I see them at the national events, not necessarily at our events, but I hear from so many from all around the country that Michigan has the best members. We have the best people. Are we competitive? Of course. Do we have friendships? Yes. And that's one thing that the MMLA brings, I think, is just that camaraderie without competition. Like, Steve, if you have
Yeah.
a loan that you can't really fulfill for whatever reasons, you know who might be able to help your customer. Your customer is going to remember that. And likewise with, all of different things that we can offer, member to member, just networking and getting to
Yeah.
know people in your area, making new contacts. You never know when you're going to have a question. So we're building this new community online. Hopefully, the next couple of weeks we'll be able to launch it. But that's going to be one of the aspects of this new community connection network. It's through a software company called Forge, Forj, and it's going to be where if you have a question, you can go to this community and post up a question, and I'm sure someone in our industry, in that network, will be able to answer that question or tell you where to get the answer. So hopefully, once we build it, they will come, right? Kind of like the
Yeah.
Field of Dreams, but it's
That
going to be
collaboration's important though, right? I
yeah.
mean, getting ideas or getting help from others, and that's the thing, is like helping other people. And when that's at the root of what you're doing, I think you're going to always succeed, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the MMLA is made for, right? It's for
Yep.
helping loan officers and people in the mortgage industry make connections, learn more about the industry,
Yep.
and help people, help
Yep.
more people. So yeah, I mean,
Yep.
it's
So
it's a pretty
we
cool community.
we try and keep members engaged, with what's happening. We want to spend more time focusing on our corporate partners and what they can do to help other members. Yeah, it's just a big collaboration is how I look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So Joanne, you've been doing this for almost 30 years, right? At
Yep.
the MMLA.
Yep.
Tell me what it's been like seeing the changes in the industry and seeing the changes in the MMLA, right? Because I'm sure there's been ups and downs, just like
Oh
in
yeah.
the mortgage industry. So tell us how you've kind of weathered some of those storms, or
Yep.
like maybe some of the trends you've noticed or whatever,
Well,
and where you see things going.
it's funny. 1992, when we would have a luncheon, a chapter luncheon, or any event, it was U.S. mail. So I'd be sitting in front of the TV. I can't tell you how many nights folding and stuffing envelopes and putting labels on and getting those invitations in the mail to register for a stupid little $25 luncheon. So those days are long gone, thank God. So much has changed in the last 27 years. So many people that were members when I started are now retired, and everyone's asking me when I'm going to retire. Not anytime in the next couple of years, but no. So a lot of changes, a lot of different people now in the industry. People, back then, companies would pay for people to go to events. We'd have 300 people at a Christmas party. Everyone to get dressed up and put their tuxes on, even. And these days, it's most people paying on their own, which we appreciate. They still stick with us. And it's just a whole different mindset of the whole industry. Lots of consolidations, lots of people are working more with less, staff, and just the whole industry has changed in all those years.
Especially
Yep.
in the last couple of years, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've seen the ebbs and flows of where people, um, you have to staff up because the refi boom, and people, can't count their money as fast as they're making it, and transition
Yeah.
to like a hard stop, and then just total reverse of that. So,
Yeah.
staying in the game is part of the
Printing
whole.
money. We
Yeah,
were printing money at one point, and then it was
yeah,
like the brakes just got,
yeah,
they hit the brakes, and it was like, we'll take all that money back from you, lenders. If you want to
yeah.
keep doing this business, right? Like, I mean,
And
it
the
was a brisk change.
Well, I think it was a good cleansing for our industry as well. People that weren't in it for the right reasons, people like you that would just want to help consumers build that home ownership dream. And the ones that were in it to make a quick buck, they're long gone. So, we got the best of the best that are still working with us. So that's great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
The survivors, the people who will make it through this will definitely see the fruits of their labor. Because
Yep.
unfortunately the business is going to continue to shrink. I think at least for the beginning of this year,
Yeah.
because it doesn't look like forecasts are necessarily looking at a big boom or a refinance boom hitting like they expected happening. And I mean they expected that to happen last year, and it didn't
Yeah. They were
happen.
saying quarter 3 or 4 of last year, and they're not even saying
Yeah.
quarter 3 or 4 of this year. It's pretty much going to be the
Yep.
same as last year. So we got through it, and we'll get through it again. So I think I have this whole new mindset now. I've been on a little health journey myself lately, and just
Yeah.
I got to look at the positive in everything. We could sit here and say poor me, but that doesn't do any good. So just turn everything into a positive and look forward with bright eyes, to
Yeah.
see the good in everything. So I think that
Well,
that's a good
that brings up a couple good points here, Joanne.
yeah.
For me, 2023 was my worst year. And this past year wasn't the best year, but I increased my volume
Mhm.
by 46%. So
Yeah.
like I think again, it's if you stick around and you're doing it for the right reasons, the people are
Mhm.
there. It's just that hey, the transaction volume was at a 32 and a 33-year low the last 2 years, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, it just was, it's going to swing back. The pendulum's swinging back. Um, and those who stuck around will definitely benefit from that.
Yeah.
So But
So
the other thing we got to
yeah.
talk. Oh, yeah, I'll let you finish.
No, I was just going to say, so that's a reason why people should get involved is because, there is some downtime, right? Everyone isn't crazy busy. So pay attention to some of the events that we're having. Invest in yourself and get some new tips, some new ideas. We have a sales rally coming up. We have our annual conference. It's local chapters are all going to be doing local events and get out there and play golf with us. There's a lot to be learned on the golf course, right? And networking with people. So that's one thing that, while there's downtime and everyone isn't in this crazy busy mode, to just, reinvest in yourself.
Yeah, well, and I think networking too is when you look at it in a different way. I remember like you just think about it from a very base level, like, oh, I'm going to go to this networking event so I can get more deals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like I think that's how most people network, and they don't realize that it's actually about what value you can provide to people. And then when you're providing that value and you're not expecting anything in return, you actually end up getting stuff in return, right?
Right.
So the more I feel like I got involved with the MMLA, the more I've gotten back from it, including, being a part of this, podcast, and that helps my personal business get exposure, but just
Mm-hmm.
even the connections that I've made, it definitely, it's a game changer, right?
Yep.
There's so many people I wouldn't know if I wasn't involved in the MMLA, and so many things education wise I wouldn't know if I wasn't involved with the MMLA.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there's so much opportunity for loan officers really to step up and step into the MMLA and
Mm-hmm.
start becoming more active, because you can be a part of the industry, but you can also learn more about it.
Yep.
But let's get to the other point I wanted to talk about, which
Uh-huh.
is your health journey. You
Oh,
look amazing.
thank you.
You're glowing, and you seem like you have a lot more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Health is wealth is always something that I have been trying to promote, especially the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on a health journey, Joanne. Would you
Mm-hmm.
mind sharing some of that with us?
No, you know what? I went on a trip of my lifetime last year. I'm Sicilian. I always thought I was 100%, but I'm more like 98% Sicilian, and I wanted to get to Sicily so bad. So I booked a tour. I went by myself and joined a tour group that was in Sicily. And I was afraid that I was like overweight, unhealthy. I wasn't going to be able to walk up all those cobblestone hills all over the place. I would miss out on stuff. I just wanted to be in better health to get through that trip because it meant so much to me. So I hired a personal trainer, started going to classes, changed the way I ate. Um, I don't eat a bagel for breakfast every morning. I don't eat ice cream at night anymore. Stuff like that. It's been
Small
a
changes, right?
Oh yeah, all positive changes though. I don't even miss it. Um,
Yeah.
so I did at first, totally honest, but now it's just a lifestyle for me. I really enjoy going to the gym and going to meet with my trainer and taking
Yeah.
classes, and trying to encourage people to do that with me now. And it's been a long road, and it didn't like my weight didn't fall off overnight, but I'm just right around 70 pounds so far. So
Wow.
far, I still got a little bit more to go. So
It's
anyway,
and it's not
it's
just about the weight though, right? I mean, you
no,
feel good
I have
and
so
you
much
can,
energy.
yeah.
One thing I'm pretty proud of is my niece lives in Colorado, and there's a thing there called the Manitou Incline, which is in Manitou Springs, and it's literally a staircase up the side of a mountain. It's 2,762 steps up the side of a mountain. It's a 2,200 feet incline, and then to get down, it's a 3.5 mile hike down the back of the hill, back of the mountain. And I was able to accomplish that in October, and with her help. And
Nice.
yeah,
That
so I
sounds awesome. How
it,
was
and
it?
it was so beautiful. If anybody is on Facebook, I've posted a bunch of pictures about it, but it was just like emotional too. And you look up and it's like, oh my God, I got all this. But then when you look down and you see like the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, and you see everything, it just was so beautiful. And I'm still gloating
That's
in that.
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even
getting out in nature
Terry
and exercising.
well, I was going to say Terry Aiken lived in Colorado. If anybody knows him, even he was impressed with that. So that made me happy.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah.
And it's cool that you got that
So yeah.
opportunity. It's like all that hard work, you getting up those stairs, and then you get to see this beautiful
Yeah.
view, right?
Yeah. 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 It's great. And then people were up at the top of the hill and they say, "Oh, I just turned 50. I'm so happy I did this. I turned 50." And I'm like, "I just turned 62." And they're like, "Wow, you did this at 62 for your first time?" And so that, all positive. It was fun.
Well, you don't look 62,
Oh,
Joanne,
thank
just so
you.
you know.
Thank
You
you.
look great.
Thank you.
Yep. And, we need you healthy, happy, vibrant to
Yeah.
keep pushing us along because, I know for me, I've been loosely involved with the MMLA and until the last like 3 years or so, right, where I've really,
Mm-hmm.
gotten involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we've really got a great thing going on, and people are
Mm-hmm.
really pushing this in the right direction, and we want to make it something for everyone, right? And we want to make
Right.
it something big that can help people. So I'm excited about where the MMLA is going.
Mm-hmm.
And can you talk a little bit about like our affiliation with the MBA, because I know you're probably one of the best to speak on that.
Well, it's MBA, of course, is the leader of the mortgage industry for the whole country. So they represent us in DC on all the federal issues. And MMLA is a member of the MBA. We're a total separate association, but we're so aligned with what they do. Our members and our what we want to promote is in line with what MBA promotes. So we
Okay.
try and pass all that information because we're a member onto our members. So a lot of our members are also MBA members, but some of them are not, and so we pass on that important information. But every year they do an advocacy day in DC, the MBA, which I attend and our leadership attends, and we literally get to go from office to office and speak directly to our legislators who represent Michigan to talk about the issues that are affecting the mortgage industry. And, we get that firsthand face to face with them, which is a great opportunity. And in Michigan, we have, our own state legislation that we have a really great legislative committee and a lobbyist with Karub Associates that keeps us informed on what being introduced at the state level. But MBA is definitely the DC and the federal level, all the issues. So now there's a new transition of the the two Trump versus Biden. So there's going to be lots of changes coming, different people in charge of all the agencies. So there'll be a lot coming from MBA that we'll need to inform our members about coming soon.
Yep. Well, change is inevitable, right, Joanne?
Yep. Yep. Good or
But
bad.
I'm looking forward. We get through it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to taking some school of mortgage banking classes through the MBA this year. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to furthering my journey and
Mm-hmm.
eventually having my CMB. But
Mm-hmm.
working through the school of mortgage banking through the MBA, which is designations that you can get in our industry
Mm-hmm.
as a loan officer that. Are somewhat invaluable, and they get you involved in a community that's you know again like ours, trying to help other CMBs and stuff like that. So definitely
Right. Well,
take a look at that.
to get that
Take a
CMB designation, to get that little pin, that's just like the circle of excellence. That's just like the seal of approval that you are top notch and know your S and really are an advocate for the industry. So that's a great goal, and congratulations on taking the first step to do that.
Awesome. Well, Joanne, before we wrap up here, I'd like you, just like all of the other guests that I have on the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
to tell us your positive take on the mortgage industry or the MMLA or whatever it is that you want to talk about at this point. But leave us with something positive to
Yeah.
look forward to in 2025.
Well, I think to make it positive, you have to think positive, right? Believe it, and it'll happen. So, I just think that we have the greatest group of members, and that's just not a spin. That's really what I think. I think that our association is strong. We have great volunteers. We have great leadership, and I'm really positive about some of the things that we're going to be accomplishing this year. Some new programs. We have some new board members that are going to inject some new ideas, and think it and it will happen. So just keep that mindset of positive and just like the Lions. Look at them, 15-2. Who would have thought? But
Yep. You never know, right?
right,
It was only 39 years for me, which is my entire existence before they actually got good. But hey, you got to keep the faith. And I have this joke with a lot of my, I had a joke with a buddy. If the Lions went 0-15 when they used to only play 16 games, that we would still watch the 16th game, right? Doesn't matter what their record is. We're still going to watch the game. And then they went 0-16, and we were watching that game. So it was just, to see them have success and whatnot. It's a testament to staying true and believing. And I definitely think that people in our industry have been learning that lesson. For sure. Well, thank you for sharing your story and going a little bit deeper with us, Joanne. We appreciate all that you do for the MMLA. Thank you for listening to this. We hope you continue to listen, tune in. We want to provide education, answers, and amplify voices with the MMLA Connect podcast. And if you know someone who would be a great guest, we'd love to hear that too. So please connect, reach out. We'd love to have you be a part of the MMLA. And thanks for listening.